things. Now, I did have to trade in my Lexus. I had to cancel my tanning subscription. I had to stop getting my nails done. And I had to make some other changes as well. But those are all sacrifices that I was willing to make in order to launch my dream business. Hello, and welcome to the Stroke It podcast. I'm Jenny Townsend, your host. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited for you to be inspired to live your life fully, to take ownership of your time, your schedule, and your life. But most importantly, learn and grow and develop personally and professionally. Myself and others are going to share life lessons that we've learned through leadership, through heartache, through pain, through struggles, and we'll be sharing some success stories with you as well. Super eager for you to dive in, learn, and grow, and once again, just take ownership of your life today. Hello and happy Tuesday. This episode is going to be all about the labor of love. For many of our listeners, you know that I'm a business owner. I am passionate about podcasting. I'm passionate about learning and transforming dreams into reality. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a client, whether it's a team member, a family member. At times I always joke and always say, I'm a solutions advisor. They may not be wanting to know what my advice is, but I'm always willing and eager to give it. But today's episode, I'm going to really be focusing on the music compound journey and the transition from year to year and how owning a business can be very hard. It can be also super, super rewarding. And at times, you can enjoy the fruit of your labor. So that is inspired by Labor Day, which is going to be happening. And I was just thinking about different podcast titles. And I'm in an interesting season of life right now, personally and professionally. And I really just wanted to open up and share that with you today. So today I'm going to be talking about, where I was when I started Music Compound, grit years, pivotal turning points within my personal life and professional life, the harvest season, which is the best season to be in, and talking about some reflection, some advice that I've have based on the past 10 years. And I may actually incorporate some of my previous work history as well. For those that don't know, I started Music Compound in 2016. I actually drummed up the business plan in 2009 while I was in my final semester of college. We had to utilize all of our classes and create a business plan. And during that time, I was waiting tables at 2 different restaurants while I was trying to pay my mortgage. At the same time, I was being foreclosed on by the bank. And during that time, I was surrounded by musicians that were looking for a place to connect, collaborate, and really just a place to hang. And that's what I wanted to create. So my inspiration was musicians, not necessarily educators, not necessarily touring musicians, but musicians that had a skill set and a passion for music that maybe didn't want to work in the school system. And so when I got to the financial aspect of the business plan, I realized that those musicians really don't have any money, number one, to pay for the space that what I wanted to create for them. So that's when I flipped the switch and I focused on children and creating a child-based model that was membership driven, that would provide an opportunity for students of all ages with a passion for music to come together in a very much uplifting community that is very team-oriented and performance-focused, to where we can focus on a lot of life skills, such as confidence, stage presence, verbal, nonverbal communication, and really just the leadership skills that you can learn when you're surrounded by individuals of different ages, but also like in a team environment. In 2009, I started talking about it, and I talked about it and talked about it and talked about it until 2015. I was like, okay, it's time to go. And I'm so grateful that I decided to create an exit strategy for my current job, rework my budget for my personal finances so that I could afford to pay for myself for 6 months to 12 months without having to take any loans or really change too many things. Now, I did have to trade in my Lexus. I had to cancel my tanning subscription. I had to stop getting my nails done. I had a wine club subscription to a winery in Napa, and I had to make some other changes as well. But those are all sacrifices that I was willing to make in order to launch my dream business. 2016, I launched my company, happily married, very excited, having no idea what the heck I was doing. Got a bank loan for $120,000 and I had 1,800 square feet and I was like, let's go. We recruited, I think 23 members our first month and I had 1 teacher. Today we have 10,000 square feet, multiple studios, I think 23 studios, a team of 30. And I'm super proud of the company where it is. In the first few years, I worked 60, 80 hours a week. There was no time off. if there came to like going to a family function or hanging out with friends, that was never an option. I always picked the company. I had this grit and the desire to make it so successful. And plus, I gave up a lot. I was making six figures working for an organization. I gave up a lifestyle. I gave up for sure a paycheck to work for free and get paid in smiles and impact. And I'm really grateful that I did do that. It's a very humbling experience as well. And it was super, super rewarding. Luckily, my husband had a full-time job and he was able to, pay the mortgage. Prior to that, we split everything 50-50. So he took ownership of the mortgage and groceries and that kind of stuff so I could live out my dream. So those first few years were really hard. I didn't know what I was doing. I made some bad hires. We grew at a really, really fast rate. And there were times where I just wanted to throw in the towel. I remember meeting a mentor of mine in late 2017, and he had said, the ship is going down and it's going down really, really fast. And that was really, really hard to hear considering how much work. I was working so hard. How could this be failing? Well, there were a lot of different variables. And at the end of the day, not paying myself was creating a really bad leader. And not taking time off was, I was exhausted. I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I was, really hard on myself and I was really hard on other people. And that's when I had to make a lot of changes. That next year is when I discovered that my husband was having the inter-office affair with a coworker, which then just changed the entire plan that I had put in place to get the sinking ship and get it back to floating on water where it was safe and sound. And so once again, another struggle and hiccup that I had to overcome. And that created a lot of challenges within the company. I also had to create time to step out and really trust the team, which has been very, very impactful. And then once again, jumping back in and trying to assist with growth, hiring, and a lot of other variables that we had to deal with every single year of business. When I think of 16 and 17, like 16 was really hard. I had some teachers that I had hired that maybe didn't have the best interest of the company. 2017, I knew my marriage was falling apart. We were growing. We weren't really set up for success. I didn't have a core like right-hand person at the front office with me. 2018, obviously I had my marriage debacle, but we had some really great hires and the company grew substantially. 2019, back in the business, we're rocking and rolling. It was probably one of the best years. 2019 was a really, really great year. That's when I had work-life balance. I started playing tennis, found connection with my husband. We sold our house, moved downtown. There was a lot of freedom and just some really greatness that happened in 2019. And then 2020 is when COVID happened, back in the business. How am I paying salaries? How are we going to make it through this with all of our bills? And all of our team members as well. And then in 2021, that was an amazing year as well. Once again, that provided a lot of time for me to travel because I had developed a team and they were so happy to still be employed post-COVID and they could see the dedication that I had in them and how committed I was to their success in the company. So we had a really great culture in 2021. And once again, I was able to enjoy the fruit of the labor of not taking time off in those early years, not paying myself in those early years. And it was just really, really great. And then, 2022, everything starts leveling out. And 2023 was another interesting year. And 2024 was a very, very hard year for us. I had been out of the business focusing on the book and the podcast late 2023, early 2024. And from stepping out of the business and not having the systems in place and the key individuals and having that accountability and really managing it, the company started to slide back down. So now in 2025, we are in this rebuild stage, which I know I covered a lot of this stuff prior, but I'm saying all this again because I do believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel and there is a lot of greatness that can come from all the hard work and all the struggles and all the pain. And if you are experiencing this as a business owner, I'm right there with you, and so many other business owners are with you as well. So I want to encourage you to continue focusing on your systems, reviewing your team members, making sure they're in the right seats, surveying clients. Surveying clients has been really, really impactful for us as we're able to find out what are some areas of concern and some areas of growth that our team can focus on to where we can become better. We can be better than the competition. We can stop people from maybe quitting their membership. So having this really great feedback is allowing our team to really sit back and think, what is it that we can be doing? Where can we elevate? What can we work on in the next 90 days? And that's exactly what we're doing. June, I was very much in the business, which I explained a couple podcasts ago, and we've put in some systems in place for tracking our rocks, tracking our progress. It's very visual. We're taking a piece of sticky note paper and moving it from one date in August to September, and having that physical movement and seeing that accomplishment and celebrating that win is really inspiring and motivating. And it's creating a really, really great cycle of habits and progress. And I can see that instead of being on the hamster wheel going around in circles, we're going to be able to slow down and work more efficiently and smarter as a team and as individuals. There's a state of you don't want to micromanage people. And I would say, as a manager, I'm very much empowering. You can go do this, go do you. I'm here to support you. But then there's a part where I've got to then micromanage. So finding that balance as a manager where it can be sustainable and it can be more even versus all in or not at all is going to be the key to the success. And that's really where I am as a leader really focusing on and working with my coaches as well. Entrepreneurship and running, any kind of business, whether it's a small business or a big business, requires a lot of grit, and you have to be hands-on. I'm finding too, you never stop thinking about your business, and everyone's like, find what you're passionate about. You'll never work a day in your life. They are wrong. You're going to work all the time. You're going to be constantly thinking about it, even when you're not there, or, even when I'm on vacation sometimes, I'm always thinking, okay, what can we be doing? What can I drum up? How can we generate more revenue? How can we generate more excitement? And that's the creative element, which is tons of fun and what I love about owning my own company. But there is a lot of struggles, and just reality is you have to be really honest and transparent with your team members. And that can be uncomfortable, having those conversations. I just had to have a conversation with a team member just earlier today regarding appearance. And are you looking to enhance your relationship with yourself? If so, get the Stroke It Guide. My book is available on Amazon and on my website. Not only is my book going to help you with your personal journey with yourself, but it's also going to help you with the relationships of other stakeholders in your life. For instance, your spouse or partner, your employer, your employees, your friends, or your family members. And of course, because the title, there is a chapter for your pleasure, which is the last one, in the bedroom. The book offers lots of great tools and resources. There's a lot of great downloads, and it features many of my podcast guests, and they have thousands of downloads and resources that are worth a lot of money. So you're going to want to get my book today. You can buy that on Amazon or on my website, and you can change and take ownership of your life today with one simple click. Walking in the door, ready to rock and roll, having your game face on, which means putting on a little bit of makeup, doing your hair, putting your polo on, just coming and looking like a professional. I think it's important. I think it's about perspective and how people perceive you. And some team members, they're disconnected from that, and how much their presence impacts the entire culture and how people show up and deliver. And those conversations can be really uncomfortable. And then it's like, you're judging me. I'm not judging you. I want you to be at your very best. And I'm a strong believer that if you look your best, you're going to feel your best. Now, you have to feel good to want to look good. I understand that. But there is perception, and there is a sense of putting on a really great dress or putting on nice jeans with a cute top and just putting some blush and mascara on. People want to do business with good-looking people that look happy, that seem happy, and that look good. That's a really, really important factor when it comes to sales or being the face of the company. And those conversations I've had throughout the duration of the company, depending on who it is and what their role is. And I'm working with musicians and educators, but musicians that maybe don't care so much about their appearance, or they think, looking the grunge look is cool rock star musician. Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's really not that cool when you're thinking about the professional level that our company is at and what our clients are paying to be there. So that makes running a company kind of a struggle too, because you're trying to change people for the better, but it's I don't want to change who they are, and I want them to stay true to who they are. But at the same time, we have a level of standards that we want to provide and we want to follow so that we can be sustainable, or we can scale, which the more we scale, the more money these individuals are going to make along with the company as a whole, which at the end of the day, if you're starting a business, the goal is to make money. I didn't start my business thinking about the money. I started my company because I was very passionate about what I was going to be doing. I had drummed up a business plan. I'd been talking about it for so long, and the dream was to get it launched and then create a really great place of community for people. But in our 10th year, it's at a point where we need to deliver financials that are solid each and every single year, so that if we do want to hire a CEO, we have those funds. If we do want to exit in the future, we have really great solid financials. Team members aren't thinking this. And so these are, as I said, every single year is completely different. And so you're having different conversations with your coaches and your mentors. You're having different conversations with your team members as well. And then with yourself, like being really, really clear on what I want the next couple years to look like. How do I want that to play out? Where do I want to be spending my time? What do I want to be focused on? Those are really, really great questions that I need to answer so that I have a really clear vision of the future of the company, the future of my personal life, and then I can share that with my husband. I can share that with our team so that everybody is moving forward together and nobody is misguided. They don't know why we're doing certain things because everyone wants to know what's in it for them, right? So when I'm thinking about the future in the next 2 quarters, I'm going to really be focusing on the financial health of the organization, future opportunities as far as growing the revenue, and then also adding to the team. And in order to add to the team, those financials have to be really, really solid. So once again, the conversations I'm having today and I was having 2 years ago are much different. So if you are, owning your own company or thinking about starting your own company, I want to encourage you to, number one, get a coach or a mentor that can help you with developing that business plan, developing the 1, 3, 5, and the 10-year. And then how do you hire people? Hiring people is key. I have made a lot of bad hires, but I've made a lot of great hires too. Those people are going to be the heartbeat of your organization, and they're going to allow you to step out and manage it or be like an absentee owner where you can enjoy the fruit and travel and have work-life balance and have time at home where you're not having to be there putting out fires, opening doors, cleaning toilets, and doing all the things that we all had to do when we started our company. And as I mentioned earlier, the harvest season. So there has been harvest seasons throughout the years of owning the company. So as I said, in 2018, I had a great harvest season. In 2020, 2021, I had a really great harvest season. 22, there was a short season of harvesting. 2023, I was able to step out, work on the podcast, work on the book. Same with early 2024. And since then, it has been a grind. We have been replanting. We have been taking care of our garden and making sure that all is good, because 2026 is going to be an amazing harvest season as well. So it is a journey. It is a roller coaster at times. And I keep going back, and this is what all of our coaches is going back to that vision, going back to where we intend to go, being very intentional with our time, being very intentional with our conversations and with our goals so that we can get there. The goal is to generate so much money in membership revenue per month, along with increasing our team members' pay and offering different bonuses or paid time off where they can have those great perks and benefits. The company hasn't really been able to do that in certain stages as well. And I think a lot of it has to come with the growth on the personal level for each and every single person. And that has really been challenging as a business owner too, because I am very growth mindset driven, and some of our team members are, but the conversations I'm having with my coaches and my mentors now is, how do you engage your team members to want or to desire to learn, grow, and invest in themselves? And that is really what our focus is going to be as well in Q3 and Q4, so that in 2026 there's a great sense of self-awareness and desire to become the best version of themselves. And as a leader, that is part of our job, is to really focus on the people and develop their skill sets, but they have to want to be there. And that's where you have to make sure that you have those individuals on your team, and you may have to do some shifts. That's another thing over the 10 years is having so many team members. You have the individuals that will be with you for so many years. I mean, I would say most of our people were with us 3 to 5 years. And some of them have been with us longer, and some of them have left and then came back in a different capacity. But that can be a huge headache, but can also be a great gift as well, especially if you find the individuals that are completely aligned with your mission, live by it, and really want to be a lifelong team member and really a very important part of that company. And, in the older days, people used to stay at companies like for so many years, and now it's like 3 to 5 years people stay. So once again, when I think about some of the things that I've learned, first of all, like patience, which is really hard for me, and timing is important. Timing of like when you address certain issues, waiting for those seasons of recruitment and when you're going to be billing and when to put money out as well, when to hire and when to fire. What I've learned with firing is as soon as you need to do it. I think at times we believe that people will change or we're not set up to let someone go, and we let people stay within our company 6 months to a year too long. And that's an area that really I would encourage all business owners, like if you need to fire that person, do it now. Do not wait. Timing also when it comes to reinvesting in the company, but then also your time. How much time are you investing? How much time are you putting into the company? And how much time are you taking for yourself? Taking the time for yourself is going to provide so many benefits. First and foremost, it's going to allow you to recharge. It's going to allow you to have some time to think. It's going to allow you time with your family to reconnect. And at the end of the day, like if you are considering exiting your business or selling your company, someone is not going to buy a job. They're going to buy a company that is profitable. They have to do maybe 10 hours a week, and they want a really great team in place that has great systems where it's a turnkey business. So consider that time, like how much time you're putting into the business, and try to get yourself out of that main role as soon as possible, because your team is going to flourish, and that's also going to make your company be able to be sold for more money as well. People do not want to buy a job, so remember that. And you didn't start your company for it to be a job. You wanted to have work-life balance. You wanted to probably be able to travel. You wanted to create opportunities, and you probably wanted to have more control of your life, including your schedule. So, these are just some of the things that I've learned and kind of like where the mindset is and where I'm going. If there's any way to incorporate coaches or some of the things that I'm talking about, I want to encourage you to do that soon. If you're listening to this episode as it's being launched, it's, we're going into Q3 and Q4. So what changes can you make before the end of the year to set the next year up for success? What hires can you make to take things off your plate? What conversations can you be having with team members regarding the vision or the end of your goals and what they can expect in having them be part of that conversation would be key, because there's going to be more buy-in. I recently took some of my team members to a conference, and I didn't really have much expectation. It was more like, hey, let's go for this training. Let's get inspired. Hear from key individuals that are doing a really great job at marketing and service and sales and people management. And one of my team members came back with like a 4-page spread of like, here's what we need to work on. Here's how we're going to up the quality. Here's where I would like to mentor people. This is how we can enhance the overall experience, to which boost retention. And having that presented to me was amazing. And I even said to this person, like, this buy-in makes me super happy and makes me want to reward them in a way where it's like giving them a role or giving them a boost in compensation. Not that that's all going to happen right now, but there's a lot of buy-in. So is anything that you can do to involve your team members in the process of planning or an area of struggle, they're going to have so much to say, and they're going to be so much part of that solution, where it's really important to have them part of those conversations as well. And I always say there's light at the end of the tunnel. And right now, like where we are, we're in a really hard season right now. And I was having that conversation with one of my team members. It's going to be short-lived, and we're going to learn so much in this season. We are going to become very efficient. We're going to become very profitable. We're going to become very lean and mean. And that is going to set us up for success. And having that mindset that it's a short season and we will overcome this is very inspiring. It's very motivating. And I know we're going to get where we need to go because we're so focused on getting out of this season. Focusing also on the lessons you're learning in those seasons can be really, really impactful. And it's also a great reminder of the work that you're doing and why you're doing it. So I would strongly encourage you to bring the leadership team together, whether it's on-site or off-site, really do some planning, talk about some goals, and what is it that they want to get out of the company or their role, and what do they want to get out of the personal life. We put on our whiteboard in our break room the one thing, which I love Gary Keller's The One Thing. If you're not familiar with that, get the book, download the podcast, or even get the cards, and focusing on that one thing. So at the end of the year, we know, hey, yeah, there was some really rough times and I wanted to quit most days, or, that was a struggle, but I was able to accomplish the one thing I wanted to this year, and whatever that may be. So for me, it was to, I think, travel for 6 weeks. Well, I think it was like 3 weeks originally, but then it was like 6 weeks. And I will be able to have done that by the end of the year, even through the struggles, the hard times right now, even with like the financials of the company not being that great. Because I've made a plan and because I budgeted, I'm still able to go and do the things that I wanted to do in the time of struggle. So hopefully I gave you some insights and some inspiration, or maybe if you are feeling this way, maybe I gave you some hope. It's a grind, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. Like, I do love the grind. I do like the chaos. I like when it's managed chaos versus just chaos. But I do believe that you can go from, burned out to having a major breakthrough in times of struggle and heartache and pain. And, I just think that there's so many great things that can come, and you will be able to enjoy the fruit of your hustle in the coming months or coming year with a really great plan. And I hope that for you. I think that you're going to do it. If you want to, contact me about anything that I'm saying, please do. We are a workforce. It requires a lot of energy as a business owner, or even like a CEO or a lead of a company. Stay true to yourself, stay true to the mission, and you will be amazing, and so will your organization. Thank you for tuning into the Stroke It podcast. I hope you were inspired. I hope you're willing and ready to take some action. I want to encourage you to consider 5 people that could benefit from today's podcast. Super simple to share this episode. You never know who could benefit from hearing this podcast and how you could inspire them to create the change in the life that they're wanting. Cheers, and thank you so much for tuning in. Also, consider giving a